Hello, everyone, and welcome to our event today. We want to thank you for joining us. My name is Paul Cotter, and I'm a Director of Product Marketing here at Stukent. And we're really happy that you've joined us for our professional selling panel, How to Grow Your Sales Program. So we're excited to talk about this today. I want to encourage everyone to use the chat feature that's found in this Demio platform. Go ahead right now and enter in your name, where you're teaching at, and tell us which sales course you're teaching right now. Are you teaching a beginner's course, an advanced course, a management course? Let us know in the chat. Just a couple things as we begin today. As you use the chat function, remember to be kind and use good manners as we communicate with each other today. We're excited for this presentation. Lisa's teaching personal selling. Anne is from the University of Chicago teaching advanced selling. Welcome. Emery is from Auburn University. Rich Campbell from Sonoma State teaching advanced topics in sales. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you with us. We see lots of professional selling popping up. So we're excited for that. Before we begin today, we have a special message from our CEO and founder, Stuart Draper. And so we're going to play that for you right now.
At Stukent, we're on a mission to help educators help students help the world. We do that by developing first-in-the-world simulations and up-to-date courseware to help you create impactful, hands-on learning experiences for your students. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the amazing resources our team has built for the courses that you teach. We've spent months creating these materials with our authors and our subject matter experts, working to build the best possible materials for you. But you know what? At Stukent, we're never quite finished with the resources we release. They're ready for use in your classroom, yes, but we're always working to make them better. We strive to keep our materials current with what's happening in your industry today, which means we update them annually and take the work of keeping your course current. If there's something you don't like about our materials, or if there's something you think we can improve upon, please let us know. We're here for you. Consider us your custom simulation and courseware provider. If we don't make it just the way you need it, we'll keep working on it to make it better. Semester after semester, we aim to bring you the best simulations and courseware in the industry, and we're not going anywhere. Over the last decade, we've been featured on the Inc. 5000 list 5 times. We've helped nearly 750,000 students at schools all over the country, and we can't wait to help you and your students next. Throughout the event, feel free to chat in any questions you may have. The Stukent team will be standing by to help you. Thank you for joining us today. I can't wait to show you what our team has built to help you help students help the world. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, Stuart, for sharing that message with us. I want to give you just a little bit of background with professional selling and Stukent. In 2021, we launched Professional Selling, a guide for the modern sales professional by authors B.J. Allen and Donald Kelly. It was our first sales course in simulation, and it did phenomenal. In fact, we gave out an award last year internally, and this product, Professional Selling Courseware, won our Product of the Year award. So we are so excited because it shows that instructors have loved it, students have loved it, and that's great. And because you loved it so much, we launched our second courseware for sales, and that's Advanced Professional Selling by the same authors, B.J. Allen and Donald Kelly. We launched that in November of last year, and we're excited for that. As a special gift to all of you attending this event today, we want to offer you and give you free instructor access to both of these coursewares. If you click on the link below, you'll be able to have that access. With free instructor access, you will be able to review the entire courseware for the professional selling and the advanced selling course. You'll be able to review the lesson plans, the assignments, the lecture slides, anything that's in there, you'll be able to review it. So go ahead, take a minute, click on that. And while you're doing that, I want to show you just a short little video that talks a little bit about these two courseware.
Prepare today's business students to close tomorrow's deals with the professional selling and the advanced selling simternships and courseware from Stukent. Your students need sales training to thrive. Studies show that more than 80% of business majors will work in a selling position at some point in their careers. So, we worked with Donald Kelly, a top-performing sales professional and the 2022 Salesforce Influencer of the Year, and BJ Allen, an award-winning professor of marketing at Brigham Young University, to bring you powerful tools to help your students master essential sales skills.
We want students to be able to hit the ground running when they get their first job. We want them to learn things they're going to do their very first week. And really, our goal was really to shrink the onboarding process by about 3 months.
How do Stukent's courseware and simternships help your students prepare for day one at a sales job? For starters, the professional selling and advanced selling courseware go beyond your standard textbooks. These courseware provide you and your students with a turnkey sales training program. The accessible, engaging text focuses on the skills students will use in the first 2 years as business development representatives. The courseware include insights from sales managers and top professionals, address emerging topics like social selling and CRM analytics, and provide lots of opportunities for hands-on learning via role-play activities. Plus, you'll get ready-made materials that cut down on your prep time, such as detailed lesson plans, expert sessions with the authors, auto-graded quizzes, lecture slide decks, and more.
We wanted something that was going to be a little bit more oomph. And we were kind of biased since we're both professors in the sense that we're teaching students. We want to figure out how can we continue to add on and create the most amazing program ever.
Both courseware pair with an accompanying simtership or simulated internship. These simternships get students on discovery calls with AI-driven prospects, allowing them to put the sales principles you're teaching them into practice.
That's what I love about the sim. It's closest to us getting them jobs into sales by giving them the opportunity to interact and to practice.
The professional selling simternship focuses on the entry-level skills your students will need as SDRs and BDRs. Your students will learn how to analyze CRM data, organize a weekly sales calendar, develop value propositions, create email, phone, and video pitches, and so much more. The Advanced Selling Simternship builds upon those entry-level skills, helping students practice negotiation, remote selling, and sales management. And best of all, this world-class suite of resources makes your job easier too. Our materials include auto-grading, individualized student feedback, LMS integration, and the Stukent Instructor Portal to help you manage your course with less hassle and less stress.
I'm going to let you hear on a little secret that one thing that's so great about this courseware and combining it with the sim, right, like in the classroom that I teach, is that the students feel like, hey, I got a hands-on experience, like I really learned some applicable stuff, and I grade almost nothing. Right? That's what I love about the Stukent platform. Your students are going to walk away thinking you're a pro, that you know everything about sales, right? And you're going to be thanking the heavens that you found the Stukent courseware.
To see how Stukent sales courseware and simternships can help you prepare your students to sell like pros, schedule a walkthrough with one of our course consultants today. We'll show you how easy it is to stay current with Stukent.
All right, well, as you can see, we're so excited about our new professional selling courseware. My favorite part of that video is when Donald laughs at BJ when he says his favorite part is that he doesn't have to grade, but that is a huge benefit of the Stukent platform. So please click on the link if you'd like to get free instructor access to either one or both of these courseware. So now I want to invite Darlin Kirby to the stage. Darlin is a product marketing manager here at Stukent, and she is over our professional selling and advanced professional selling courseware. And we are excited to begin our panel discussion today. I'm going to turn the time over to you, Darlin, and let you take it from here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Paul. I'm excited that you guys are all here today. So Paul mentioned I'm over the sales products here at Stukent, and I've loved it. I love seeing how it's been growing in academia recently. And so I planned this event and invited these panelists because whether you have an established sales program or you are trying to grow your own, I figured that coming together, sharing experiences is just incredibly valuable. And so I really appreciated this topic and being able to invite these people who have this experience and this credibility. So before I introduce the panel, I have a question that I'd love to put for you guys to answer. We'll put it in the chat. And this is just talking about when the question of how to grow a sales program is presented, what are your first thoughts, basically? What do you think about when that happens? So that should be showing up in the chat soon. And then I will start inviting the panelists on stage to join me. And as you're putting those questions in, we'll ask that you use the chat during the event too. We have some questions that we've already gotten beforehand, but if you have any questions, please, we'd like to get them answered today. But awesome, I'll have my panel join me on stage.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. Awesome. All right, so I'll just quickly tell everyone your names. So we have Bryan Hochstein from University of Alabama. We have Sterling Bone from Utah State University. We have BJ Allen from Brigham Young University. And we have Stacey Schetzsle from the University of Tampa. As we're getting started, we'll kind of go in that same order. If you can take 90 seconds, please just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you work with your institution's sales program.
So I guess I'm up first then. Bryan Hochstein, I'm Associate Professor of Marketing, University of Alabama here in Tuscaloosa, Roll Tide. Yeah, so my role with our sales program, we have kind of two tiers of a sales program. We have an undergraduate sales program here that is very large and very much self-contained in our university. We probably have about 600 students in that program, and I work with that program somewhat on kind of curriculum and thought ideas. But I've been developing in my kind of my passion right now is developing a master's level sales leadership program. So we're kind of going beyond. So our students, that some of those 600 that are going through the program, if they want to continue on and work towards a career in sales management and sales leadership, they can continue and take some more courses in our master's in marketing program. So I'm leading that. It's in its first year and growing. We have to that our undergrad program has about 100 sponsors if you add them all up, and our new program has 4 sponsors because we're just starting this year. So slow growth on the new one, but I'm really, really interested in this topic. I went to Florida State for my PhD, which has a large sales program as well. So I know a fair amount about growing sales programs, and I'm happy to answer questions along with the rest of the panelists.
Awesome, thank you.
I guess I'll take off next. Is that okay? Can you hear me okay? So I'm Sterling Bone. I'm Professor of Marketing and the Executive Director of our Huntsman Pro Sales program at Utah State University. And similar to Bryan, we are building out programs of excellence around sales. And we've been in our journey for about 8 years at Utah State University, where I'm the founding director. And we service around 250 students a year across our undergraduate program. And we're primarily focused on our undergraduate sales program. However, we do offer graduate level coursework for our master's program as well. And our program is built on 3 pillars. Again, I'm grateful to join with our friends at across the discipline. We appreciate rigorous market-driven curriculum, included what's been built here, as well as other platforms that are engaging students in developing skills and demonstrating mastery and certification. We also engage in extraordinary networking opportunities. We like to showcase what we offer here in the beautiful Rocky Mountain region, and have 12 sponsors and probably up to about 50 partners that we work with on an annual basis that are recruiting our students. So we showcase our beautiful mountains and skiing and fly fishing, but all with the student in mind. So they engage with our students in very unique opportunities. And then finally, we engage in a competitive national presence. So our students, and I think sales students at large, are quite competitive by nature. And so we participate in 12 national competitions and host internal competitions, both as role play as well as case competitions. But I'm excited to dive into this topic with all of you, and thanks for the invitation to be here.
Yeah, so I'm BJ Allen. I'm at Brigham Young University. I've been here for almost 2 years, and before that I taught for 4 years at University of Arkansas. And it's a thrill for me to be on this panel because our sales program is very young. And I mean, my colleagues here on the panels, they're from very established, distinguished programs, which I look up to. And part of why I came to BYU was to try and build something. When I got here, we were about 20 students in our sales society, which is our sales program, and now we're up to over 300. And it's just been a blast for me to kind of build this from the ground up. And so that's why I agreed to be on this panel, because I am where a lot of you are, or 2 years ago, I was where a lot of you are now. Like, I love sales. It's such a great opportunity for students, but like, where do I start? And how do I get funding? And how do I get administrative support? And how do I get sponsors? So I'm super excited to be on here and kind of share some things I've learned, as well as actually some of the things I've learned from the panelists here. I mean, these are kind of my mentors in helping me build this.
Hi, I'm Stacey Schetzsle. I'm at the University of Tampa. I was actually at Ball State University for 10 years before I came to UT. And, Ball State was one of the first, I guess, sales centers that were established. So I learned a lot and then had the opportunity to come to UT and start a new program 5 years ago from scratch. And so if you add in a little COVID break, then I think we're growing pretty quickly. We started with 25 students to take the classes a year, and now we're about 250 that are rotating through. I started the Institute for Sales Excellence in 2019, and that is getting a lot of traction. So we're experiencing a lot of growth and a lot of excitement.
Awesome. This is great. I brought you all together because I knew this experience would be awesome. So we'll dive into questions. I do see some coming through, and I see some of the responses to that. How would you describe your thoughts towards growing a sales program? We see curriculum approval process, welcome prospecting and closing, how to get started, what classes, what expertise are they needing, how to get funding, things like that. And so hopefully you can hear, or you can speak to some of these during the panel today. But we'll get started with what do you recommend for universities or campuses that are trying to start a program? It sounds like several of you have had that experience, but we'll kind of keep the similar flow. And yeah, let's start. Bryan,
So
we'll
similar flow means me first. So that's a really broad question. I'm going to try and focus in on some areas here, and others can pick up areas. But one thing I am building a program right now. It's on top. It's a second. Like, it was so much fun building one program that I'm building another. So this program I'm doing now, I think one aspect that's been challenging to me is just the internal structure of doing that. Finding out how to build out the courses. I saw some comments about that. How to develop courses, from a university perspective can be quite challenging. What the curriculum looks like, who are the people that need to be involved in the decision making, and I was a salesperson. I worked in sales for 20 years before becoming an academic. So for me, it's quite simple to think of an idea and to figure out who it would benefit and what the value proposition is, and what my market would be, and what companies I need and how it would benefit the students, and go out and talk to companies and sell that idea and develop sponsors. That's very natural. I did that for 20 years in my industry career. But then there's this whole like behind the scenes thing where when companies send sponsor checks and things to you, that the university needs to be on board with this, right? You're just not a one man. It's not like I own the University of Alabama and do whatever I want. So I've had more challenges in that aspect of the building it out internally, the support network that needs to be there, so that we can be successful in this and grow it in the right direction. So I think you got to kind of figure out what your strengths are and then try and find some partners within your university. So if you're really good at the committee meetings and doing all of that work, great. Then you need to find somebody that can help you maybe sell the product and develop those value propositions and stuff. But I've just found that in my journey here the last couple of years of building this out, I've had no problems in figuring out who would benefit from this and convincing them that they should be a part of it, students and sponsors. But I've had more trouble internally, so I need some more help with that stuff. But I think you kind of figure out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are as you do this, and then capitalize on those and address the ones that are your weaknesses. So I'm going to stop there. That's very broad level. That can be more granular as we go around the horn here.
No, I thank you, Bryan. I think for your perspectives, I think that's very value add. I like to kind of step back and look at what is a program, right? Academics, we can really dream up some really amazing yet bureaucratic and lots of layers of programs.
Yeah.
But really, my experience is, Bryan talks about, it's very entrepreneurial to build a sales program. And if you recognize what your value proposition is or what your product is, it is the student. And that student success should be paramount in building sales programs. And in our experience at Utah State, as we put the student very focused, we had a bottom-up approach. We didn't have the top-down buy-in initially when we started building our program. We almost kind of asked for forgiveness as we went along our way. But the outcomes of student success will never be ignored and neglected if that's really built around the student. And so no offense to those that like to go into committee meetings and build curricular programs. Our approach at Utah State was not to try to tackle the curriculum at first. It was to really get the momentum of student energy and student passion around the subject matter. Granted, we did have a sales class, and so having a strong intro class as a gateway class into a program, I think, is absolutely essential. But very quickly, you need to have a very passionate student club or student association that's really engaged and able to reach out to the marketplace, right? And remember, when you're teaching sales, that your students are going to become professional sellers. So enlist your students to be your evangelists, to be your promoters, to be those that are out selling your program internally to their peers, as well as bringing on partners and sponsors. And I quickly learned that as being a faculty of one building out our program, that I couldn't do it alone. And I didn't have resources of multiple faculty lines and buy-in from the top. When you get students that believe in something, they will build it out, kind of a bottom-up approach. And so, there's a lot of nuances to that. Obviously, you start creating some momentum, and then the top meets the bottom, and you get to the point where there's this great kind of energy kind of focused on student outcomes. And that would be a little bit of advice as you think about building a program.
Yeah, I'll just dovetail that as well. I very much operate on an ask for forgiveness later mentality, which is right. Like, if you build something that people get excited about, then it gets noticed. And so, two things that for me were really big initially. One was if you make partnerships with companies that students are excited about, and companies are coming and companies are donating money, you're going to get administrative notice, right? People are going to say, hey, wait a second, we've been trying to do these type of things forever. And helping administration see that like our students are our best asset, and these companies want to get in charge, want to get in front of students. And if we can create a synergy there where companies are giving us money and giving us opportunities, and we're giving them opportunities to get in front of our students and guest speak and do trainings, that is a match made in heaven. And companies will absolutely pay for that. And secondly, and Sterling alluded to this as well, and Bryan as well, is if you have a really strong, intro class, and all of a sudden, administration is calling you and saying, hey, like, can you add another section because so many students are asking to take this course? that gets attention. And so luckily when I came here, I had just finished writing the Stukent textbook and helped Stukent designing the simulation. And so we had like an immediate hands-on approach, a built-in curriculum right when I got here. And students loved it. It kind of exploded. So we had to start adding more seats and more places. So for me, it was really those two things: is if you make connections with companies and bring in money, and secondly, if students are super excited about your intro class, you're going to get attention and then you're going to get resources.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the big shifts was I was coming from a larger established program, and it was a public university, to a small private university and starting from scratch. And so one thing that I do recommend, if you haven't done so already, is reach out to other sales faculty who are in the process or who are working at these established programs. The sales faculty are so open, and it's just a great community, and we're willing to share any information that we can. So I know USCA, there's a lot of resources there. NCSM, if you attend the conference, everybody walks out with new ideas, and it's just a great place to be, and a great support network too. So reach out to other programs. That was helpful for me because I was going from an established public university to a new private university, and there are some differences there. I agree with the other panelists. Connect it to the courses. You're guaranteed to have at least a minimum number of students involved and excited, and you just kind of plant the seed there. Also, getting involved with the student organizations has really helped grow our program as well.
Awesome. That was fantastic. I saw a question in the chat, and two of you kind of talked about sales competitions / sponsors, but there is a question on how to get sponsors and contacts at a company. We'll go to the sales competition later, but how do we create those sponsorships or connections?
Sure. Guess I'll continue on. So there may be more strategic answers than this, but I've had so much low-hanging fruit that it's been simple so far to get those sponsors. So I'll just tell you what I've been doing. I've had a lot of companies that have been interested to talk to my students. They reach out and they want to talk to me, and I just was teaching individual classes in our master's program. It could be undergrad too. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that's where I'm doing it right now. And I've had some of them speak. I've had parents of my students that are like vice presidents of sales that want to speak in my classes because they like what we're doing here. I have some industry contacts from my research and stuff that I do, and I also used to work in sales. So as I said earlier, I develop a value proposition. The value proposition for the sponsors is simple. They get to outsource some of their recruiting and training to us as educators. They get to be a part of our programs in various assorted ways. They can be buyers, they can be judges, they can be help with projects, do different things. They get to see some insight on students over an extended period of time, or at least some more than just an interview. So I just have identified a list of people that have spoken my class before, some alumni that I know are interested, companies that I know are sponsors of other sales programs, and people that I just personally know through my network. And it's a pretty long list when you start writing them down and putting them in a spreadsheet. And then it's a matter of what is your value proposition. It is that we kind of have this ultimate win-win-win all the way around the horn kind of thing. Students get good jobs. Employers want to hire these students because they're well trained and they get insight into how they'll do the job. They respect in our programs. They know we're teaching incredible stuff. We get some wins out of this too because it's good for the university to have students being hired, and we get the fulfillment as educators of them getting jobs at places where we know they'll do well. So I just find it to be one of the easiest products in the world to sell. I make that sound too simple, but if you can find the right companies that have some budget, I think often in universities we think about money coming from donations. We're literally selling a product here. We're selling a training and recruitment pipeline product here. We're kind of like a staffing agency almost. So you have to get into those kind of budgets to get that kind of money. But if you have some value to sell and you can present it to the right people at the right companies, it's not that difficult to get them on board. Of course, you have to continue to give them value and good students and all that. But again, I'll start with the broad answer, I guess, and we can fill in as we go around.
No, thank you, my German friend, Brian. Thank you for the precision by which you talked about sponsorship. I want to harken back to what Brian said in terms of alumni. I think alumni is absolutely key, right? You'll get no more passionate audience than from your alumni. And I would imagine at every one of your universities, if you get into the alumni database, or even if you just look on LinkedIn, right, there's going to be numbers and scores of alumni that are in a selling profession. And so utilizing that network is absolutely key. And I will also hearken to Stacey as well. One of the ways that if you build a program and you align with the groups the University Sales Center Alliance, the National Conference in Sales Management, Sales Education Foundation, if you get involved with these groups and you get into their directories and you get on that radar, partners will find you, and you will spend more time and fielding inquiries about getting talent. And you have to have a strong, belief in your students that you're not going to give away that service, meaning that, students should be paid very well for internship, for projects, for full-time opportunities. And so set standards that are, that kind of benchmark based on the industry or your geographic areas, but also kind of the expectations of your alumni and your current profile of student. But don't give away your students because they're too valuable in today's marketplace for their selling skill. And as you set standards, and then you can build to that, kind of try to to match and exceed those standards, you're going to find that companies will come, and they will come. I also have a plan for why you're asking for money. If you're going to ask for money, and I made the mistake that early on we asked for money without necessarily having a plan of how we were going to use that money. And we built up some really nice budgets, which were really nice. And right, I kind of felt really, I felt like I was in sales, hitting my quota, if you will, as a director. But have a plan of why you're doing what you're doing. And I kind of step back and say, you know what? Companies probably won't pay for a sponsorship until they've seen value in what your students produce. And so our approach very much is to partner with companies and give them trial with our students. Right? I don't try to sell a sponsorship until I know it's a proof and concept that our students will work for them, that it's the right place for our students to work, and vice versa. And so the ask doesn't have to come at the top. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of trying to make promises that you maybe are not able to keep. But prove your concept out in terms of your students going to work for these companies, and then have a plan for what you're going to use for that money. Right. And our plan, and I'm very transparent with our plan, we use that money to support our sponsoring activities, our networking opportunities. We use that for student travel to competitions. I know we're going to get into that. But an exciting area that we're doing is we use it for scholarships. We're building scholarship endowments for our students so we can attract the right students, the best students across our university system. And I will also add, and maybe I'm giving you way too much information here, but I think it's a really important point. Sales is not a business discipline only. And I think sales resides in every institution, a different place. And yes, you have to play the game of that college, but I hope that you have a vision that sales should be offered to every student at your university. Our vision at Utah State is that sales should be a sales plus whatever program, sales plus French, sales plus art, sales plus, I had a piano performance major that is now doing very well with his industry selling. And so engage in, if you can offer your curriculum. I saw one of the questions regarding non-business students. Offer it broadly. Find access to be able to give students this training. And if you can open up those doors to students, one, you're going to attract a lot of unique partners that want students to have a medical background or have a global awareness because they have a foreign language skill. Right? There's going to be so much opportunity there. But I could go on and on about sponsorships, but the key is don't carry the burden of sponsorships, because that's not fun to go to bed and say, okay, I've got to get so many students hired by this partner. That's not your job. Your job is to build great students and then prove out the concept, and then the companies will invest to get that continued pipeline of talent coming out of your program.
I think that's a great point, Sterling, is that we're not the career services. So I think sometimes we feel a lot of pressure that if we're going to take money, we have to tell our students go work for this. and I'm very transparent when I talk with companies and say, look, I don't promise you a certain number of students. What I do is I promise you organic ways to get in front of the best selling students at my university. And so when I started, I literally just went to the companies who I knew were already recruiting. So I went to the career center events and said, hey, you're recruiting sales students. If you want a leg up from the other companies recruiting here, come be part of our sales program. And what we want is we want you to give us some sponsorship money, and in return, we're going to give you better access. And salespeople by nature are incredibly competitive. So if you say, here's some other companies who are on board and are recruiting students, like they want to as well, right? And sales departments also have very deep pockets, and so it's not a big deal for them to come and say, yeah, sure, like I can do that. And I think a lot of universities run into a problem where it's like, well, like I don't have a foundation, right? I don't have an endowment for sales. So like, what do I do? How do I gather money? I think a best way to start is just have them sponsor like events. So I want to hold a huge networking event off-site somewhere. Find a company to buy that and pay for that for you, or some co-branded swag with your sales program logo and their logo as well. Have them buy it, and then you don't have to go through any red tape of reimbursement or anything. And then once administration starts hearing about these things and being like, hey, like I heard all these things from students, I would go to your school newspaper or your business school magazine and say, hey, we just held this super cool event. Do you want to write about it? And other professors start hearing it, and it just kind of grows organically. So companies will absolutely get on board if you show them that, hey, this is the value you're going to get. Here's some things I'm going to give you. And I think it's a pretty easy sell.
Yeah, I agree. When I came to UT, one of the things that I did, I wanted to take it slow because I needed to build my product. And I wasn't quite sure what the fit was because it was such an adjustment coming from larger public university to smaller private university. And so what I did was I tried to reach out to the partners I already had relationships with and bring them to the Florida market, identify who those contacts were. But I wanted partners that aligned with what I was trying to build and what I was trying to teach the students. And I felt I was lucky enough because I had strong enough relationships with some of these companies that they knew where I was going and what I was trying to do. And so getting that support up front really established my credibility with the students to see that there was something bigger and better out there. But it also took a little bit of time too to develop that product that I could go out and sell, like Sterling was talking about, but also understanding the students and finding the right fit. So what we do is I offer trial events. We'll hold events. The companies will come and they just pay to attend. So that covers our cost. I have a little bit of money that goes towards scholarships and student travel, but it's an opportunity for both sides to vet each other. So the companies can come, see what we're doing, meet our students, see if it's a good fit for their organization. But I also take a lot of time to do a debrief with our students and say, what companies did you like? What companies did you not like? And that allows me to determine which ones are going to be the best fit moving forward. And then, if we've had a good experience and we see value, then we kind of move on and talk a little bit more about our partnership program.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. To kind of dive in, we saw a question about info, how to get info on travel and prepping for sales competitions, but then also getting sponsorships to help with maybe the cost of some of those sales competitions. And I know a few of you mentioned those in general, but hopefully that's enough information. Let me know if I need to rephrase that. But we'll start.
Cool. You know what? Even before you asked that question, I was thinking we need to practice our adaptiveness here, and I was going to throw it to Stacy anyways. And also, this is the one question that I'm not doing as much of right at the moment. So I'm going to throw it to Stacy. Let's go backwards around the
Okay.
panel here, okay?
I love being adaptable. Yes,
That's our job.
funding is definitely a big issue. Building the relationships and being able to have these partnerships, that's where we get the bulk of our money. But I think you should also look at what's going on in your university. Sometimes your department or your college of business will have travel funds for students. I recently found out that the student government provides money for student travel and student development, so we've used that as well. And a lot of the competitions, thankfully, have enough sponsorship that they're able to provide hotel or travel reimbursements. And so that's been a big help, especially when you're just getting started and don't have much in your budget.
Yeah, so I'm a huge believer of that. If I'm totally self-sufficient, then I can do whatever I want, and I can ask for permission later. So I try and get all the funding, and then we pay for it ourselves. So it's hard for administration to tell you no if you're not actually using their money, right? So it comes from the companies, the donations, and then for me, like our program being so new, the concept of like sales competitions was kind of vague to students. And so it was, I went to my best students and sold them on the idea of going to these competitions, and we did well at a couple of them. And then I just kind of treated it like a marketing campaign. I said, hey, we took a bunch of pictures. I want you all to go on LinkedIn, Instagram, share with all of your friends. Here's how cool it was. And within a few months, now we have a bunch of students who want to do competitions. And so I think it was kind of a good balance of finding the right students and then prepping them, helping them prepare. And then after that, I think it grows organically pretty fast.
And I would add, again, great advice. Internal competitions is where you should start. Again, that's when your biggest value propositions for your partners is to do a great internal competition, right? The national competitions are great and they're wonderful and they provide some great access to your students to gain presence with some national partners. And it's also another place for you to introduce yourself as a faculty, as a program of legitimacy to potential partners. But before you try to go out on the national stage, get some nice wins internally on campus first. And those internal competitions can be a great way to raise awareness around what you're doing, open it up beyond just your sales classes. Obviously, I know when I started building competitions at BYU before coming to Utah State, we did it right in the classroom, right? I mean, building a competition within a class where the students are, yes, receiving credit, earning a grade, but there might be a prize, there might be some sort of recognition that's coming from a partner. Our internal competition approach at Utah State is very aggressive in that we want to give every one of we have a tiered kind of sponsor level, but at some of our higher tiers, we give every one of our partners an opportunity to host a mini competition. And we have enough students that we can actually create tracks in a competition. So on any given competition day, we might have 8 competitions running simultaneously, where we have students sign up to compete for one of our partners, and then the partners will then choose winners and give recognitions and prizes. But really, we use the internal competition as a qualifying event for students to go to national competitions. And it gives students something to be able to tout on their resume, on their LinkedIn, but it gives them a lot of confidence, and it gives you as a faculty confidence that your students are gaining the preparation that they would need. And your partners love it because they love when they get to see your students, they get to judge, they get to do it under your roof of a school, and it just is a great win. And so competitions, I think, are absolutely a way of accelerating your growth as a program. But don't get bogged down into trying to get to national competitions until you've really proven out that your students are going to want to compete internally first. and then it becomes a prize, and it's almost like a feather in their hat to say that they get to go to a national competition, and peer-to-peer will happen. Peer-to-peer selling and sharing, just as others have shared, it's powerful. And so I would say stay home and then go big when you're ready to go big.
I'm just going to throw in just a minor little amount of stuff here. I'm not actually doing a lot of competitions right now, but will be in the future again with my program probably. But across many of these answers and just talking about sponsors and money, and you should have things that what is their money doing? I think a competition and explaining that idea of what a competition is and why it's important to students, that's something very tangible that sponsors can understand what they're sponsoring. And the thought I had, some advice that was given to me as I started this new program and trying to find some sponsor companies to be a part of my advisory board, was just use the word, ask them for help. So I think we have kind of an interesting thing to sell here. It's a good product. One thing I learned when I got into being a professor and no longer a salesperson was when I call or communicate with people, they tend to respond. They don't always do that when I was a salesperson. They often would not respond quite a bit, but now they do, because they're interested in what we do and they want to help and give back to students. And they were students, and almost, if they haven't heard of sales programs, or even if they're involved with them, they almost 100% say, this is a great thing you're doing. I wish I had this when I was in school. I hear that almost every single time I talk to a sponsor. So if you have something and you need funds for travel, there's real power in going to somebody out there in the work world and the industry world and saying, we need your help. We have some students here that we'd like to take this competition. Can you see ways you could help us with that? It's something you probably wouldn't ask in a business setting. Like, we need your help. We need you to buy our product. We wouldn't say that, but we'd say that for students, because it's more than just a product, right? It is a product, but it's more than just a product. So I've had really good response to that. And it's not even a sales tactic. It's just it's what I'm asking. I need your help. So please help me. Would you like to help me? And often they'll say, yeah, I'd like to help you. That'd be great. So it's worked out well.
Let me. So Jacqueline asked in the chat about any resources or references. I think, Jacqueline, if you want like some specific resources, like the type of cases we offer, I think any of us would be more than happy to email you some of the specific cases. But I think Sterling answered your question when he said, start in the classroom. I think it's really daunting to think, oh, I need to set up this huge case competition at my school, and where are we going to host it? So I literally just took Sterling's advice. I started in my class and kind of learned the format I liked, the type of cases and companies I liked. It could be a 5-minute pitch. It could be a 10-minute discovery meeting. And once you become comfortable in that, then you broaden it out to more students. So just this week, we had a huge competition, 4 companies come in, but I modeled it very similar to what I had done with my in-class competitions, because I had become comfortable with the format and I understood what companies liked and what students liked.
If I may, I'll also add that the national competition circuit provides a lot of rubrics and resources that you could just download and utilize in your own university, right? I'm currently at a competition at the University of Toledo, and they have a great web page that provides rubrics and information. The National Collegiate Sales Competition out of Kennesaw. There's some, obviously I could go on, there's so many competitions, but the reality is they provide a rubric, some rules. I mean, you don't have to create kind of formats, because all of that's been created on the national stage. Use that and put it towards your own competition internally. And then don't write cases, folks. You don't need to write cases. Let the companies provide a case study. And you can help them and guide them, and there's great examples, right? A 1 or 2 page case study. It's a prompt, if you will, that you give your students so that they can come in and kind of role play, but involving the companies to actually procure and develop that case is part of the magic, because then they get to kind of come up with a scenario that's real world into their environment. The students know that hey, the professor didn't write this, so this is actually going to be real, right? And now it's going to be really a real company industry type scenario. And then you build a library of cases, and you can use those cases for your own curriculum usage, and your partners love showcasing them in so many different ways. And so again, a couple other ideas in terms of case write-up and case development and rules and rubrics, all of that's, and again, BJ is correct. I would be happy to share what we do here. If you have any need to reach out, we're happy to do so.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. We after this event, we actually the page that the when the event ends, it'll take you to is a place to connect with all of the panelists here, as well as to download a course proposal. Is my connection going out at all? Keeps giving me a little
No,
pop up.
I think you're good.
Yeah, I
I
can hear you
hear
great, darling.
Awesome. So the next question is actually about, we only have time for about one more, so that's why I wanted to let you guys know that you will have an opportunity to connect with all these panelists here in case we don't get to your question today, or if you think of other ones in the future. The next question is actually a little bit more on how to develop a new course within your program. Kind of what do you need there, as well as like, I know with the sales like educational space, like it's growing. So there are new topics coming out and things like that. And how do you know when to start a course for that topic and how to go about it, I guess. And we don't have to go with Bryan first.
Well, I've
Anyone.
been developing new courses, and I just saw a need for them. I don't know if it's the same as everybody else will. I was developing new courses before I had sponsors. I would say that sponsor companies might be a good place to find out what they need. And if you're not currently teaching it, that might lead you to some new courses. But I just saw new things in the sales marketplace, and the practice of sales has changed from what we were teaching or what I was teaching. And I wanted to add now up to 3 courses. So just to cover more topics. But many programs have more than 3 courses. So a lot depends on what you're teaching. You got to start with the basic stuff, right? Like here's intro to selling kind of course. How do you do it? And then probably ideally some kind of sales management or advanced selling kind of course would be like number 2. And then, there's a lot of other topics that need to be addressed, and there's not enough time in the semester. So technology, and I'm the cheerleader for customer success management. Not really found much yet in many programs, but there's just lots of things happening. What are BDRs and SDRs and things like that are different than what are in a lot of the things we've been teaching in the past 10, 15 years. So, but a lot of that comes from who are your companies and who are you working with and what do they need. So I'm going to say that it can organically grow. I know at our university we have a special topics class, a number, so you can start something and do it for 3 years and see if it's worthwhile, and and then develop an actual, like, from a bureaucracy kind of standpoint class. I've done that now a couple times. So kind of give it a test run, and if it really works well and it's worthwhile, then develop it into a course. But I'll just stop there.
And I'll jump in and say that course development, I think you remember, there's nothing holy and sacred that a certain class should have these topics and another class should have these topics. Really have the academic freedom and vision to, if you need to bring in multiple topics into a course, you can. We had one course initially, so we had to give with kind of a sampler approach. But as we've evolved to now have 5 or 6 courses that kind of culminate as part of a minor, which is another point that I would also want to make, is that sales majors is not the way to tackle it first. Do one class, maybe a certificate, maybe a minor, and we don't have a major, and it's by design that we don't. And I'm happy to visit offline if you want to talk a philosophy of not having a sales major. But I will say that in terms of kind of the course development, it's utilize your partners, right? I'm one faculty member and I can't teach every class. And so I bring in partners as adjuncts. I bring partners in the Cone classes that I'm the faculty of record, and they teach material there. And so again, I think the biggest job of a sales faculty member is to be a connector to partners, to students, and work that way. And again, you can only take on so many preps. So if there's a subject, and Bryan talks about customer success, right? Something that's really exciting and evolving, it's technology. There's so much to talk about technology as a faculty. You'll grow yourself crazy trying to understand all the tech. Bring in someone from Salesforce. Bring in someone from these technology, or bring in a customer success leader, and that way you'll learn with your students, and you can kind of sit there and nod your head like you totally know what they're talking about, but really you're learning, right? There's so much rapid evolution that's happening within our discipline. So I guess it's recognizing you're not going to know it all, And if I see another university that offers a sales management class before they offer a professional selling class, there's something fundamentally wrong about that, especially at the undergrad program. So teach the basics and then grow up to the management and other advanced topics, because your students will be much better served as they go to the marketplace.
Yeah, this is the easiest answer all day. Just use the Stukent courseware. I mean that, and I would say that, you know, what makes
I applaud you for
yeah,
selling.
yeah. And I say it in jest, but actually, like, it is a completely designed course that's very easy to adopt. But I think, like, one of the key points is that, like, what makes sell different, right, is that it's so hands-on, it's so practical. So I teach a concept, and then I bring in industry expert to solidify that concept. We talk about discovery meetings. The next class period, someone from a big company in this area is going to come and talk about how they do discovery meetings. And that itself does a couple things. One is it gives an opportunity for your partner companies to come be on campus, right? This is part of the value proposition. You're going to come and and secondly is that, like, half of the students who take my course just take it because they heard it was good. They're not that excited about sales. But when they hear industry experts come in and talk about how dynamic it is and how cool it is, then they get excited. I mean, honestly, that's what grows the sales program, is having people come in and talk about how awesome sales is. And so that intro to sales course is pivotal in growing a sales program and in partnering with different industry experts and getting students excited.
Stacey, any comments?
No, I agree with what the other panelists were saying. You have to start with the foundation. I change things up every single semester. You know, just kind of take it new directions and see what works and see what doesn't work. We now have a sales minor, so that was established just this fall, which allowed us to add an advanced class. And then as we move forward, I would like to add an additional class, because I just don't have time to teach them everything I want them to know before they graduate and go into sales. But, you know, at Ball State, when I was there, we had kind of a catch-all class because we offered 5 undergraduate courses, but one was called Sales Strategy, and it really allowed us to adapt our content based upon the new trends. And so having that open class that isn't so structured or so focused based upon a particular title gives you that flexibility, because I know getting courses approved through the university are somewhat challenging.
Yeah. In fact, I don't want to cut anyone off, but
Yeah, darling, can I quickly say one little sales pitch here? I put some stuff in the chat. These have been mentioned throughout. The National Conference in Sales Management is, Stacey and I are involved in that. Others are welcome to join us. It's at Norfolk at the end of March. Still available. You can still sign up and join us if you'd like. If you like this kind of conversation and you just want to talk to people about not only sales research, but also sales education, that's kind of a 50-50 mix at that conference of people in both camps. Sales Educators Academy. I don't know if it's in the US or in England this year, and it's in June. I didn't want to look it up while we're online. It's usually in June, hosted by Florida State and Aston University and Rollins College. So just Google it. And then University Sales Center Alliance has been mentioned. Google that if you don't know what it is. And then the Sales Education Foundation. They offer the Chally assessment to us at no charge. Talk to Marty Holmes there, and many other things too. But really some good resources. If you go down those paths, you'll find out a lot of helpful stuff.
Yeah, I did see you typing away over there, and those are all great resources. I know how daunting it can be. We've heard from other events that we've held here about creating a new course. And so I did put together a template that you guys can use. It's just showed up in the downloads. This is for an advanced selling course, but you can go in and modify it if you're trying to do a sales strategy course or things like that. But it's a great place to start, hopefully, and make some of that process easier. But I want to thank you all for being on this panel, and thank you all for participating in the chat and for being here today. As we wrap up, the if you're interested in more events that we have at Stukent, we have a Marketing ProfCon 2023. It's our big event that we hold here at Stukent, but this year it will be live in Idaho Falls, Idaho. BJ will be speaking there, and it's a great event, which I love it because of many reasons, but I love especially that you can connect with your other educators across the world. Most of the time it's the US, but we have a lot of great speakers there, and I think it's going to be a really fun experience. We will be doing an excursion to both Grand Teton National Park and Yellowstone National Park. Two of the reasons I live in Idaho is that I get to go to 2 neighboring states and see beautiful places all the time. But yeah, I wanted to thank you all, and reminder that right after this event, once it's over, you should be able to see a option to connect with all of these speakers. But I hope you all got some really valuable information today. I know this was a great discussion, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.